Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about diagramming participial phrases. So let's get started. The first thing to remember is that when you're looking at a participle is something that's going to look like a verb but act like an adjective. Oftentimes they're going to be easy to spot because the present participles end in ing and the past tense participles end in ed. However, there are irregular forms that you're going to have to watch out for. Not all ing and ed words are going to be the only participles that you'll have to find. So let's look at this first example and how to diagram them. The sentence says, a crane lifted the fallen trees from the road. In this sentence, fallen is the participle. It's a word that you would typically associate with the verb form to fall, but here it's acting like an adjective because it's describing the trees. So let's go ahead and diagram all the rest of the sentence and then we'll come back to the participle. To diagram the rest, you have a crane lifted as your main subject and verb. We're going to put A underneath crane. The thing that's being lifted is the trees, so that's the direct object. The is describing which trees, so it's going to go under trees as an adjective. And then you have a prepositional phrase, from the road. From the road is telling us where the lifting is happening, so I'm going to put the prepositional phrase under lifted since it's acting like an adverb. From is the preposition, so it goes on the diagonal line. And then we're going to draw that horizontal line. Remember to leave this little bit of a tail here to show it's a prepositional phrase. Road goes on the horizontal and then the underneath. So now let's talk about fallen. Fallen, because it's describing trees, is going to go underneath trees. You're going to write a diagonal with a horizontal, kind of like you did with indirect objects. Notice that there's no little tail here. And then the word fallen, rather than writing it straight on the horizontal line or flush against the diagonal line, we're actually going to curve it. So we're going to start on the diagonal, but curve it around so it is on both the diagonal as well as the horizontal line, since it's a participle. So the second example that I want to show you is one where you have a participle phrase, not just a participle by itself. In the example, it says, my little cousin looks so innocent, cheerfully giving his mother a hug. In this sentence, cheerfully giving his mother a hug is describing the cousin, what the cousin, the noun, looks like, but it is giving, which is typically associated with verbs. So we have a participle here. Let's go ahead and diagram the rest and then we'll do the participial phrase. The main subject is cousin and the cousin looks, so that's my verb. My and little both go under cousin. Innocent is telling us, complimenting what the cousin looks like. So that's a subject complement, which means we're going to do a diagonal there to show that it's a complement, and then write innocent. So is describing innocent, so it's going to go underneath. And then we have this participial phrase. Because it's describing the cousin, it's going to go underneath the cousin. So I'm going to make this line just a little bit shorter because then I can extend one more diagonal underneath cousin, the noun that it's describing. I'm again going to draw the horizontal, and then I'm going to write my participle giving on that line curved so that it goes around and touches both the diagonal and the horizontal. Now I'm going to diagram the rest of the phrase as you would diagram these pieces in any part of the sentence. So the giving that's happening is a hug. That's a direct object. So I'm going to put the straight line that shouldn't go all the way through, but just on top with hug there. And then I'm going to put A underneath it. Mother is the indirect object who's receiving the hug, so it's going to go on a line underneath giving. His goes underneath mother because it's an adjective. And then cheerfully is telling us how the giving is happening, which means it's an adverb. So I'm going to put it underneath of giving. So you can see how all of the pieces in the participle besides giving, I'm diagramming just as I have been this entire unit. Hug is a direct object, so it goes in the direct object place. Adjectives and adverbs go in the adjective and adverb places. Indirect objects go in the normal places for indirect objects. One thing that I do want to point out with this example is that the participle can be anywhere in the sentence. The participial phrase in this case is at the end of the sentence, but it's describing a word that's way back at the beginning, the subject of the sentence. So don't let that throw you off. You should put the participle underneath whatever it's describing, not at the end of the sentence just because it comes at the end of the sentence. On the back of your notes sheet, you have 5 practice problems that I'd like for you to take some time to go through and do. We will start with checking these in class next time I see you.